Hey, Rick Sayes here. Welcome to Season 3 of the Outdoor Biz Podcast, recorded at the Surf City Studios in Costa Mesa, California. I have another great season of interviews with retailers, brand managers, athletes, executives, and others in the outdoor biz to share their stories, tips, advice, productivity tricks and hacks, and ideas you can use to take your career business to the next level. Today's podcast is brought to you by InMotion Hosting. I've used InMotion Hosting to host my websites for years. Rick Sayes Photos, blogs, Stillwater's Consulting, and the Outdoor Biz Podcast are all hosted with InMotion Hosting. If your New Year's resolution is to publish a blog, produce a podcast, or simply secure a domain name, go to theoutdoorbizpodcast.com/InMotion and sign up with them today. They make it simple and quick to get a new site up and running with easy installation tools. That's theoutdoorbizpodcast.com/InMotion. Get going today. Always love catching up with Jen Taylor. Jen Taylor brings so much energy and enthusiasm to the table. I love it, and thank you. We talk about her career, the great path to success she and the Mountain Khakis team have achieved, and a whole lot more. This is another must-listen episode. Thanks, Jen. Enjoy, everybody. Hey, Jen, welcome to the show.
Hey, Rick. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, good to catch up with you. So what's going on? You're in Western Colorado, right? You guys are in Grand Junction?
I am.
Nice,
Yep. Mountain
nice.
Khakis has an office in Grand Junction, Colorado, and I am the sole employee.
Oh, that's nice. Perfect.
Yep. Run solo, kind of behind the curtain. I run the brand and the marketing and creative and PR teams from a satellite office here in Western Colorado.
Wow, beautiful spot. So lots of stuff to do there, huh?
Oh my gosh, it's a mecca. It's
Yeah.
an outdoor mecca. And if have you been to Grand Junction?
I have. Yep, I have. Yep.
Oh,
great spot.
Yeah, you've got world-class everything here,
Yeah.
and it's incredible, climate year-round, and you've got access to the hottest mountain towns or additional high desert. Everything's within a 2-hour reach, and
That's the thing. Your
fabulous place to raise a
location is
family.
you guys are centrally located to a lot of great stuff. I used to live in Louisville, so we'd bop over the hills and stop there on the way to Moab, or just stop there and hang out. Yeah, it's great
There you
spot.
go.
Yeah, cool.
And
I'm sure you participate in all the activities, right?
I try to, as best there's never enough hours in the day, or it's the equipment. We have a guilt thing out here in Western Colorado. We have so many days of sunshine. We have 300 plus days of sun, and so anytime there's like a guilt that comes with all of the outdoorists out here. If you're sitting around on a good day, it gets at you. So most people have a pretty healthy quiver of toys.
Yeah,
in their,
those of us in
garage.
California have the same thing. We're spoiled because it never rains. I mean, now it really never rains, but Bishop's the same way.
That's kind of a problem.
Yeah, it's a problem now. Yeah, exactly.
It's a problem right now. Yep.
So,
exactly.
What was your first introduction to the outdoors? How did you get excited about the outdoors growing up, or how did that come about?
Yeah, I grew up in Indiana, so I'm a Corn Fed Indiana. I'm Hoosier, and I was a big team sport. I was just a free range kid. We were cut loose until the dinner bell rang, and
nice.
It was a childhood much like that. My sisters and I lived kind of on the edge of town in the woods, and all of our family members had woods and creeks, and we just roamed as kids, and what a
come home when the head streetlights come on, or if there even were streetlights.
Exactly. Yeah, it was a great way to be. Great way to be raised.
So did you guys do
duplicate that with my kids?
So you were a team sports. You said team sports. Did you do hiking and camping, or was it mostly stickball, baseball, soccer ball, kickball, whatever we all played back then?
Being from Indiana, basketball.
Basketball.
You got to play basketball. So basketball it's in my DNA. I was a junior Olympic basketball kid.
Oh, wow.
And
so you got some talent.
State-ranked
You got some game, huh?
I had some game. Yeah, I was a pretty good point guard. Yep.
Nice.
Yep. My best friend went on to have a much further career down the basketball lane. She actually is a very celebrated player. Continues to be in the coaching world. So,
cool.
But my path went off, and I ended up in Colorado for college. Went to University of Denver, and then started racing mountain bikes through a twisty path of life. So my team sports upbringing, and having I raced BMX when I was a kid, and we had dirt. Well, actually, I take that back. I didn't have a dirt bike until I was 15, much to my parents' chagrin. They were not pleased at all about that.
Right.
But I was a working kid, and so I wanted to be able to, have my own transportation, and so I talked them into that. But we had 3-wheelers and 4-wheelers, and it was just very much a rural experience, and it was a great way to be raised. So I never had I don't even remember actually the first time I went camping. It might have been when I was in college.
Okay. Uh-huh.
Yeah, we just were outside all the time.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
it wasn't
yeah,
anything formal or structured about
yeah,
it. It was
yeah,
just the way we were.
yeah.
So
So what was your first outdoor sport that you can remember other than BMX?
yeah, other than being, probably, oh my
Did you go
goodness.
climbing? Did you go hike? Go on a backpack trip?
I
Did you rafting?
think it must have been mountain biking.
Okay,
It
yeah, that
must have
makes
been
sense.
mountain
That would
biking.
make sense. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I ran and I did all those things, but it
Sure.
wasn't
Yeah.
ever, it wasn't trail running. It was just, yeah, I'm sure it was mountain biking. And it wasn't until, like I said, I got to Colorado and, yeah, I didn't sit on a mountain bike until my junior year at
Okay.
University of Denver.
Wow.
And I had a bike all the time and I would ride wheelies down the sidewalks
Right.
and I was
Right.
jumping bridges and jumping little creeks and stuff. And my friends were like, we got to get you on a mountain bike. Like I had this Diamondback kind of,
Uh huh.
city
Uh huh.
hybrid bike and I just was thrashing it all the time. And yeah, and got on a mountain bike and climbed a hill and threw up at the top and said, "Oh my God, this is the best thing I've ever done."
Right on. Yeah.
Right.
Exactly. Yeah. The
And
rest is
I
history. Yeah.
blew down the back on some single track and just stuffed it and ate it so hard. And it was
Loved
the
it.
best thing that ever happened to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And within like my second ride was Slick Rock in Moab.
Oh, very cool.
And then, yeah, within 6 months I was racing. So I was all over it. It
Wow.
just,
Awesome. Yeah. So you're
yeah,
very competitive.
I was
Uh-huh.
competitive at the time. I did the NORBA, yeah, the National Off-Road Biking Association
Yep.
and Bicycling Association, the circuit here in Colorado, and was fairly competitive.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I
Mm-hmm.
did. I was committed anyway.
Yeah.
I'll
Yeah.
say that.
Yeah. What was your first outdoor job then? Or what was
Um,
did you work in a bike shop right out of the was that what kind of your
I worked in a bike shop when I moved to Telluride. I was again very committed and moved to Telluride. I also had an auto detailing business that I'd started when I was 15. I couldn't even
Okay.
drive, but I was detailing cars. But anyway, I took that with me everywhere I went, and
So you're an
I got a
entrepreneur
job
right out of the gate too then. Uh-huh.
I was a hustling kid, man.
Nice. Yeah.
There was, I was just, I was restless, I guess. And yeah, when I was younger, I'll get back to your question, but when I was really young, my sisters and I had a Christmas wrapping business
Oh, okay.
enterprise,
Yeah. Uh-huh.
and we would go to these like grandparents' houses, and we'd sit in the basement for I don't know hours on end. It probably felt like 8 hours, and we would wrap the most horrendous. And I always got stuck with the worst shapes, like the T-ball set, with the big
Right.
cutout in the
Right.
middle.
You get to wrap the bicycle.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. But we made bank. No grandparent wants to wrap Christmas presents like that. So we
Yeah.
just,
Yeah.
yeah, we were.
Wow. Good
And
for
then,
you.
yeah, and then I
Yeah.
started detailing cars. Anyway, so I did work. I was a mechanic at a bike shop
Mm-hmm.
in
Mm-hmm.
Telluride after college. But my first job in the outdoors was actually for an outdoor retail store it was in Fort Wayne, Indiana, called Jorgensen's, and they were very much
Oh.
a gift, outdoor gift shop. They had Remington bronze sculptures, and they had all kinds of decoys, and they were an Orvis retailer, and
Gotcha. Mm-hmm. So it's a
yeah,
hunt,
it was
fish,
great.
and outdoor camping, hunt, fish, all that stuff. Yeah.
It
Yeah.
was, and
Yeah.
that's probably where I got my first exposure, and then I managed an Eddie Bauer store in
Oh,
college
okay.
as
Uh-huh.
well.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow. So you got a little bit
yeah.
of retail there, and then So did you go right from there to Mountain Khakis? No, you must have done a couple things in between there,
No, I did do a couple things. Oh my goodness,
like the rest
let's
of
see, I
us,
worked
right? We have
like the rest of us.
if we
Yeah,
really
we all,
put everything we did in our resumes, they'd be like 8 pages long.
it would because none of us were born and bred in the
Right.
industry. We
Right.
we created the industry, right?
Yeah.
So
Right. Yeah.
we're all the nonconformists, and
Yep.
we're the kind of the non-joiners of corporate culture, and
Yep.
and uh,
Yep.
and here we are, raising an industry together.
It's
So
amazing. Yeah.
um, I worked for the Denver Zoo for a little bit. I had a biology/environmental science degree,
Oh,
and
okay.
had an amazing job at the Denver Zoo, like the most amazing job. You would think that nobody would quit it. It was so cool. I got to
What'd
work
you do? Yeah.
between. It was, well, I'll tell you. So it was, I've pioneered this position between the education, so conservation education, and the operations department. So what that meant was I managed all of the education animals. So I had a whole zoological station,
Wow.
and then 30 plus animals. And then I had all of the operations, the collections department, which meant that like skulls and hands and, you know, all of the education tools. And so I managed all the docents, all the live animal handling schedules. I did the live animal like 10 and 2, you know, see the live animal presentation. And plus, anytime an animal passed or deceased, died in the zoo,
you got to do the autopsy and all that.
Yeah, I had the incredible like backstage pass to the necropsy lab. And I would go if an orangutan, I remember this one particular moment of a senior member of the primate family, the primate exhibit passed away. And I got to go have this moment with this deceased orangutan in the necropsy lab. And it was so profoundly soulful and gorgeous. And at the same time, very scientific to be able to say, what body parts do I want? Because that was my job. I got to say, I want the hands and I want the feet. And then I would take the parts to the taxidermist, which sounds really grotesque. But when you think about the education opportunities and how that enriches a young person's
how did you
life
decide
and
what
mind
parts?
and imagination.
Let me back up a little bit. How did you know which parts to take, or what drove that decision?
A total rabbit hole. It was I managed the inventory of the collection, so I knew what we didn't have, and then the opportunity to see, and that's where I would get to sit with, you know, the body for a little while to really to consider what might be most meaningful and educational.
Wow, that would be
kids.
Pretty powerful to sit there with an animal that just passed and figure out what. Yeah. Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, so I had a pretty cool gig going on, but I
what happened there?
I was tired of the city. I was an urban rat, you know, starting to race, like I said, and I was in Denver and living downtown, and I thought, you know what, I think I'm meant for the mountains, and so I packed up and went to Telluride, and and that was that. So short of the long, you asked me what I did before Mountain Khakis. I started through another couple things, but we'll skip all that. Started a company that I worked for, had previously worked for. My sisters and I purchased a company. We'd saved money to buy a cabin together, and the opportunity to purchase this company came up.
Oh, cool!
And we evaluated it and decided that that's what we were going to do together. That was our investment, and so we set it aside for a couple of years, and revamped, relaunched essentially the business plan. And it was really me. My sisters both had different career paths, and I had kids at this point, and and we launched Mountain Sprouts, which made adventure apparel for kids. So we kind of started, you know, Patagonia had the seedlings program, if you recall. This is back in '98. And there was another brand called Molehill, and really in the outdoor industry and really in outdoor apparel, there wasn't anything else that really told the story of getting kids outdoors. And it was before it became a household conversation, and it was before the necessity of, you know, culture and future customer became an issue. And so we were privileged to be at the forefront of that movement.
So you designed and sewed in the whole shooting match, huh?
I you know what, did it all.
Wow.
I did it all.
I sourced.
And I grew that company. We grew that company. We had over 500 retailers nationwide.
Wow, good for you.
Canada. We were growing with REI. We had a really good run with it. We were the Outdoor Foundation's case study for right when they were had launched the Outdoor Foundation, all about bridging the gap to to the future. And I fought in Nabisco. We technically it was all of us, but steered the ship to fight Nabisco for our trademark. And that actually is why we sat on it for a couple of years, because, you know, it does, you know, that if you don't have your trademark, you don't have anything. And and we won. And so then it took a couple of years, and so then we got going. Supply chains in 5 countries and
holy 160
cow.
So how'd that end? What happened?
Well, that's how I came to Mountain Khakis. They actually purchased it. So I came into the fold of Mountain Khakis.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. So it's been a big, kind of a family adventure, literally.
No kidding. Yeah. And you've done some great things at Mountain Khakis. I mean, you guys kind of, you know, hit the scene kind of out of nowhere, right? I mean, all of a sudden, boom, here's Mountain Khakis. Wow. That was awesome. At least that's what it seemed to me.
Part of that, I got to watch. I was a witness as well in the industry in 2003 when Mountain Khakis first came in. Arborwear at the time was really the only pant specialist, and Mountain Khakis came in, and everybody was talking about Mountain Khakis.
Yeah.
And it was really intriguing, and they did a great job. They really launched well. They, launched knowing what their product was, focusing in on it, creating a count and fill program with a specialized merchandise program, and a full SKU set that really served a true pant program. And nobody really was doing that. And so it kind of, they're the OG of
They
pants.
nailed it. Yeah, they nailed it. Yeah, they nailed it.
Yeah.
That was great.
And then it was a couple years. It was 2006 when they purchased Mountain Sprouts. And so I came into the fold, honestly, in that way. And it was, it's been a great journey. It's a great team. It's a great brand. It's amazing product. I've been very blessed.
I've been fortunate to own a fair amount of it. It's awesome. Yep. Good stuff.
Good man.
Yep.
Yep.
So what's been the most fun in that whole process of, the Sprouts program and then getting purchased by Mountain Khakis and that whole launch thing? I mean, and then to this day, I mean, you guys have done so many great things and, broadened the product line appropriately, I might say, too. It's not too, you didn't get into a bunch of stuff that has no business being there. So what's been the most fun?
Well, I'll say hands down, the people keep me coming back for more. I mean, without a doubt, and it probably sounds so cliche. It's like, yeah, move on, but
I don't know. Your catalogs look like you guys have more fun on those photo shoots than some of those other catalogs.
We do have. I guarantee that. I guarantee it. We it's just this. There's something magical that's woven into the, metaphorically, the fabric of Mountain Khakis, and it's so I have the privilege of overseeing all that. And when we started doing the photo shoots, I said, I don't want to hire, models, talent, so to speak, in that way. I want to use ambassadors, and I want to keep our crew low. We don't have stylists. We just have a photographer, videographer. We've got a couple people from the company, and usually those are the people in front of the camera. And then a couple of ambassadors. And literally we just kind of stay under the radar and we just go roll.
Cool.
And we travel, we do different mountain towns, and we do what we would want to be doing anyway, or what we would be doing anyway. And it's kind of photojournalistic in that way. And
super authentic. Yeah.
Well, that's good. That's good that vibe comes across, because it's kind of like we're having a party. Come on in, come along with us.
And maybe that's the photographer in me that sees all that, but I just think that comes out in everything you guys do. All the stuff you put out is great.
Well, that's a compliment. We've worked with some amazing photographers too, and not everybody can hang with us. Not everybody gets it, because we start there, and I don't mean that from like some higher than thou way, but we go fast and we go hard, and we are rode hard, put away wet at the end of this thing. So we
it's like a true it's like a true backcountry adventure. You go hard, and
we do. We're on the river, we're camping, we're in a yurt, we're backcountry ski, whatever we're doing, and we're doing it. And we're really, for Mountain Khakis, the way our brand, that we like to say, or I like to say, we like to say that at a lot of other brands in the house of outdoor retailer, under the hood of outdoor retailer, are climbing the mountain. Yeah. And Mountain Khakis is at the base having a beer. Yep. Like that's our soul zone.
Yeah, you get that feeling. And, it's after you've done whatever you've done during the day, you're kicking it and
we've been there, done that.
Fun. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. Well, it comes across. Good job. It comes across. Yeah, that's great.
That's great. So that's what keeps it. I mean, literally, like everything's fun for me. You just got to make work fun anyway. And it's we have our dog days just like everybody does, but it's just been it's been incredible. So the people, that's my answer.
Awesome. What are you most proud of?
Well, at different times, I would probably tell you different things. In 2012, I would have said our catalog. Okay. 2012 to 2015. You'd asked me that during that window. I would have said our catalog, because it brought our story, our brand voice, our brand vibe. It brought our imagery. Life. It was a platform for it all to come to life, and it was tangible. It was something you could hold, you could smell, you could feel, you could crinkle, you could tear, you could it was tangible, and it was the first step for me in having we spend so much time with output, like it's a one-way communication street for us, right? Yeah. And it was the first time for me that people were starting to react to beyond our website or beyond the wholesale experience, the selling in the retail store, and it was like this. We started to have this two-way conversation. People were referring to things in the catalog. They were calling customer service. Customer service was flagging marketing and, hey, can you help out with this? And what where were you when this picture was taken? And it was just this more intimate dialogue.
Yeah.
And
Well, they're
for
asking
me,
questions
it was,
not only about the clothing. That's awesome. Yeah.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
oh yeah. They
Yeah.
were like,
I want to go
what
to that lake. Yeah.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. Tell us who was your guide on this float
Right.
trip, or
Right.
all that kind of thing. So
Right.
we got to just it fostered a conversation.
Yeah. Very
And
cool.
then, and we're still very proud of that too. But then we had the incredible fortune into the Remington years. We call them the Remington years. Are when we launched the catalog. So that was kind of we were owned by the group that owned Remington Arms, and so that they really supported us in a great way. We were kind of an orphan brand, as you can imagine.
Yeah.
In a wonderful way. They loved us, and they loved us for our brand heritage. And they supported the catalog launch. Then in 2015, we sold to a group called Canders and Company, who have been incredibly supportive in their own right, and took us to the next level of the next big launch for us, which was retail and developing our own retail experience. And so we've been incredibly, again, fortunate with our ownership as stewards of really taking us along our path and helping us fulfill our vision for this brand, because it's always been there.
Oh, and letting you guys do your thing. That's what's great
letting
about
us do
it.
our thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
now you ask what we're most proud, or I'm most proud of, it would be our retail store, our flagship store in Denver.
Oh, okay.
I can't even begin to tell you. It drops me to my knees every time I'm in there. I've cried. I've bled. I've slept in the store. It is so profound to me how something inanimate like a brand, or the medium is our apparel, our pair of pants, or whatever it might be, but the brand comes to life in such a way that's 3D, that's living. It's almost got like its own. It's got and I'm going to sound like I'm out there, but it's got an aura to it that people pick up on.
Yeah.
We started with a whiskey bar. The whole thing
cool.
starts with a whiskey. And it was before like all the, the hip new kind of retail experience.
Yeah, all the new flagship stores and all that stuff. You guys were before that. Right.
Yeah, this was like back in, this is back in, gosh, what year was this? 2008. We were talking about this. This is 10 years ago. And we were like, for us, we're a whiskey soaked brand. That's our thing. And I was like, it starts with the whiskey bar, and then we build around that, and everything becomes centered then around kind of, that experience. Anyway.
Awesome. Well, I haven't been there. I got to go check that out next time I'm in Denver.
Oh, you got to go check it out. Yeah,
that's
good
great
stuff.
What? How about a couple challenges? What were some of the most challenging things you had to overcome?
Well, always they were, they're again cliche. There was challenges or opportunities, right? But it's true that anytime we came across a challenge as a team, strategic leadership, marketing team, whatever department it might have been, or as a company as a whole, it was always a rally point, and it was an opportunity for us to slingshot through, past, around, whatever, over, whatever it might have been. We never have seen a brick wall in that way. We've been able to kick through a door, and so it's
well, that speaks a lot to your team. You guys, I mean, and the way you work together, that's fabulous. That's huge. Yeah,
it's a pretty incredible team. And I'll say too, a couple of Nabisco, I mentioned the Nabisco thing earlier. It's like, you get a no from the United States Patent and Trademark Office that says Nabisco, and we were just a startup, and and it was like, for 6 months, I just 5.5 months technically, I was like, what am I going to do? I can't, I'm married to this name. I couldn't get around that. And so you give it all you got. And I put $250 out to a attorney, a patent and trademark attorney, and he filed a rebuttal. And lo and behold, he corrected a typo I had on my application. And it just goes to show that you really never know. And give it all you got, because it's like Mel Brooks. I remember watching something of his. He was talking. It was an interview about Blazing Saddles, one of my favorite movies. And he said he got denied by all of the producers and all the the big they all turned him down and wouldn't produce the movie. And there was a quote in his interview that said, "If you're gonna belly up to the bar, take a drink. Like, don't go halfway." Right.
All in. Yeah.
And and sometimes you got to break the rules.
So
the
typo was what pushed it over the edge, really?
Yeah, that and the fact that we filed a rebuttal.
Right. Everybody rolls over usually. Yeah, right. Yeah.
And you get this stack. I had like a 1-inch stack of all of these other applications that had also been declined for the same reason, and none of them tried.
Oh, yeah.
And here was this, little startup with a $250 check to an attorney, and we won. So
Yeah.
it's
No,
created a
you're
path
right.
that I never would have
That
guessed.
speaks to just going out there and stepping up to the plate. You never know what's going to happen, but nothing's going to happen
Yeah,
if you don't step up to the plate. So good
exactly.
on
Well
you.
put.
That's
That's a
fabulous.
good one.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
there have
yeah.
been countless others, right? But
Yeah, 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 yeah.
I had with Mountain Sprouts, we had a supply chain debacle. We had and I won't name the fabric supplier. They're fairly famous, but they had a QC issue, and it was 80% of my POs. Never, it's the 80-20 rule. Never lock up 80% of your POs with, a supplier or a retailer
Yeah,
in
exactly.
distribution. But it happened that this season, that was like the fabric and and it turned out that it was a QC issue. It messed up everything. It was, all the production schedules shifted. I was able to run triage for a replenishment PO to get a new lot put in.
Okay, yeah.
And fast forward 2.5 months, the new lot came in, and it was worse than the first. And
Oh my
it
goodness.
I'm bootstrapping everything.
Wow. Yeah,
I
yeah,
had,
yeah.
second mortgage on my
Yeah,
house and
yeah.
a
No
lien on my
wiggle
truck,
room.
and I was no, no, none at
Yeah.
all.
Wow.
I had a revolving line of credit that was maxed, and
Oof.
because we just trying to deal with all this. And when you kind of, there's the entrepreneur's path that is a risk taking, it's calculated risk, and some have that more than others. But it's not meant for everybody, I'll tell you what. And it's a sacrificial path
Yeah,
that
yeah.
you're sacrificing something for ideally that greater good and that greater value and that greater contribution. And I
Yep.
was committed and I was determined, and we ended up getting through it. But I remember my my boyfriend, who became my husband at the time. I was just a
Oh,
mess,
can
right? I'm a
imagine. Yeah,
mess.
I can
Couldn't see
imagine.
through it.
Yeah.
And we're sitting, have a cabin up on the mountain, and we're sitting in front of the fireplace, and I'm just pitiful. I was just a, envelope of myself.
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
over it. And I'm sitting there crying, and he reaches over, very unlike him, by the way. He reaches over and he kind of grabs me by the shirt, and he goes, "Jen, both your engines are on fire and you're going down. What are you going to do about it?" He's like shaking me, right?
Wow, yeah.
And I'm like, "Who are you?" and he just slapped me around, and I
Yeah,
was
yeah.
like,
Get with it. Yeah.
You're right," and it became this like kind of aha moment. Like, you may feel like you don't have any options, or there is no path, or you don't
Mhm.
have any choice, but in truth you do.
Mhm.
And you just have to get to the point where you realize that you still have your power, no
Yeah,
matter
yeah,
how
yeah. You
much
got
has
to
been
yeah.
taken away from you.
Yeah.
Still have your power.
Got to see through it all.
And
Yeah.
yeah, and so it was like, all right, we're going to the show, and we're going to the tanning booth, and it's going to be the team went we all went to the tanning booth. It was January show, right? And I was like, we're going in like it's Aristotle and Onassis, life is good, business is good, and we got a good tan, and that's, we're just going in. And man,
Nice.
that was the beginning of the next path. That was the beginning of selling it.
Wow, that's amazing.
So
Yeah. That's
yeah,
amazing. No,
and
you're right. You just got to
paid
stick
off
with
all
it.
my debt.
Yeah,
So
that's
anyway,
good for
yeah.
you.
I don't
Stick
know what
with
your
it.
question was. I don't know where I went with
That's the
that,
story
but
there. No, well, that was we were talking about challenges. That's good. No, that's great.
oh yeah.
And how
Yeah.
about tell our listeners about I'm probably saying this wrong. MOG Outdoor Fest or MOG Outdoor Fest? How do you say that?
Yeah, so MOG,
Okay,
it
MOG.
stands
Good.
for, or stood for, it's no longer, but Manufacturers of Outdoor Gear.
Okay.
It was the acronym.
Mhm.
And happened that a good friend of mine had a Unimog, Mercedes
Oh,
Unimog, which are
cool.
like the
Yeah.
big giant kind of stormtrooper
Yeah,
tractor
they're
things.
awesome.
But
Yeah.
so that was our mascot.
Mhm.
But yeah, it came out of a business forum. Western Colorado is kind of a hotbed of outdoor industry brands over time.
Yeah. Mhm.
And Marmot was established here. Mountain
Yep.
Smith was established. Cycle Smith,
Low
as part
Alpine.
of
Yep. Mhm.
exactly all of that. And we had some local brands. I had Sprouts at the time. We had Loki. The Quinamoan sisters out of Moab had Jagged
Uh-huh.
Edge, if you
Yep.
recall.
Yep.
We had Stolquist. We had a bunch of different companies here. And so, Zeal Optics out of Moab.
Oh yeah.
And
Mhm.
so we pulled from a regional basis, and we all came in. Chaco, of course. That was probably one of the headline brands. And we all got together for like hey, let's have a beer, and let's identify our common ground and common challenges. And that's exactly what we did. And out of it, see our trading post. It was back in the day when everybody didn't know what to do with their closeout inventory, and Sierra Trading Post was the evil giant.
Yeah.
And they were like, if you sell the Sierra Trading Post, you've completely jeopardized and devalued your brand. And it was just a big conversation at that time. And so we all talked about what are ways that we can control our inventory and our closeouts and our blems and our, and samples and that kind of thing.
All the excess
and
stuff.
So that's where the MOG Fest came out of. So I said, well, we can do that. And I can shut down, work with the town of Grand Junction, city of Grand Junction. We can shut down Main Street, and we can bring in brands, and we can bring in, and we did just that. It was a big event, and it grew big, and it was just kind of, a grassroots event. And I just did it when, it took a long time. I was really focused on it for a good portion of the year.
Those things get out of hand. That was like the A16. I worked at A16. They did the backpackers swap meet every May, and that thing take on a life of its own. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Good for you.
They do, and they, I had customers that would tell me, they would call and say, I've got a savings account. I've got a savings account with the title MOG Fest on it. Nice. And I was like, that is pretty freaking cool. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I love hearing that. So helps
I'm gonna
validate.
Go blow it. And how long is that still going on? No.
Nope. I did that for 12 years.
Wow,
we started that in 2003, cool. And we, by 2015, I was like, you know what? I have done what I set out to do. I'm a wholehearted believer in the outdoor brand story of Grand Junction, Fruita, of course, and Palisade, our neighbor communities. But Western Colorado is a special place, and Grand Junction itself, I just, so that the MOG Fest was kind of an early precursor to the town and the politicians and the leaders of our community to really acknowledge our our assets as really, I call it the outdoor capital of Colorado. It really is it really is that. Very cool. And so now there's been such a great movement for a lot of other reasons, and a lot of incredible, talented, and very influential people that just won't take no for an answer, and continue to insert their conversation. There's
it was before fests were big.
It was.
Now everybody has some kind of a fest in their local town.
Yeah, we did art shows, and we had live music, and we had evening concerts, and we had all kinds of fun stuff. And it was, I'm like pulling a trailer around collecting straw bales, and you name it. And I'm like getting pin flags and construction tape, and
getting it all done.
Getting it done. That's right. Yeah.
Cool.
My boys grew up just like, I think I was a blur for all of their childhood. They never really saw me. They were with me.
They learned a lot. I'm sure they learned a lot.
I'll tell you a funny story. With Sprouts, I started that in an incubator program here in Western Colorado, in Grand Junction, the Small Business Development Center. It's hard for me to say. And there were times in the early days, I had kind of a camping section for them in the corner of my production facility. And I had a tent in there and a little DVD player, for nighttime movies. And I had a little popcorn stove.
Nice.
And I would set it up for them so that they were on a camp out inside my store.
Oh,
and
cool.
I would work all night long.
Wow.
And there were some amazing memories with that. And,
Man,
anyway.
I bet they could tell some stories. I'll just have to get them on here. So what was that
They
like?
could tell some stories. Right. They were homeschooled. I had their dirt bikes down there, and they were
That'd be
homeschooled.
funny. That'd be great.
Yeah, it was good stuff.
So it looks like, I think I was poking around on the internet, and it looked like you did some radio stuff too, right? Tell us a little bit about that.
I did. I have, maybe they say, a face for radio, right? But
that's why I'm doing a podcast.
Well, you and me both at the moment. So, I come from a very a family that believes strongly in citizenship, and that's kind of run the course of its, talking about DNA, and so when I got to Telluride, that was one of the reasons I didn't stay there, because I was young. For one, I was 22, and the people my age, my landscape of my horizon of peers just weren't I was racing, I was healthy, I was fit, didn't drink, it wasn't a drug, I wasn't that kid, and at that time, and really never was, but I was like, when I got there, I was really kind of shocked. I come from a small town in Indiana. I get to a small town in Colorado, and I'm so excited to be a part of a community, and altruistic completely. And I was like, where are the grandparents? Where are the generations here?
Oh, wow. Interesting.
And it was real. And there were there, of course, but in my daily life, I never really came across the true community of Telluride. Right. And so, I did. I just didn't. I just was a little bit more. I was wanting something more, a little bit bigger. I think a little bit bigger horizon. And so I moved to Grand Junction then, and didn't plan to stay. I was planning to move on to another. But anyway, and so, so getting involved in the community, and our independent radio station here is one of the few remaining in the United States. It's I think there are 150 or so independent radio stations, true nonprofit that, you know, it's you don't have ads, it's underwriting and that kind of thing. And so it was a business nexus, and it was a nonprofit nexus. We've got a really healthy nonprofit community here, and KEFM was really kind of the hub of all that. So we launched an initiative called Healthy Community. And what is that? What is that? What does it look like? It was really very collaborative and very much more than radio, much bigger than that. Music was the product, right? But the
music was the glue that brought it all together.
Exactly. I called it the nexus, or the mucus.
Nice. Yeah, it's kind of like glue.
Find a better one. Find a better word. But yeah, it was the glue that really anyway.
That's very cool. Yeah. That's awesome.
It's a neat shining star here in our community.
So in all these things that you've done, these things that you've created, who are a couple of mentors that have helped or inspired you along the way?
Well, if I started here in the community, and I know your audience is not necessarily thinking of this community specifically,
there's
but
probably a lot of folks that are from that community.
Yeah, Rick Taggart is a person that he was one of the early founders of Marmot Mountain Works, and he is still here in town. He was with Victorinox for years, and he's done many different ventures in his career path, and he's just always been a good sounding board for me. He helped me with Mountain Sprouts. He helped me with the MOG Fest. As a matter of fact, that's where you asked about that earlier. That's really what that was about. Was people still to this day still talked about the Marmot local sale and how special it was, and they still are super proud of the gear that they got. And there's all this original Marmot stuff rolling around in the closets and the attics of Grand Junction, and on the bodies too. And people would talk about that event, and I was like, I want to recreate that. And so Rick helped me. He was like, donuts and coffee, and get out there early. And so he's been great. And I'm starting a new business on the Colorado riverfront. And he's been, once again, Rick's been calling my spirit animal. He's been with me. But there's another woman here in town. Her name is Thea Chase, and she's a Western Colorado. She's really an entrepreneurial superstar. She's worked all over the United States. She's worked in Dubai, in Australia. She's really helped launch entrepreneurial programs for universities, and and she was the one that actually got me on the rails with Mountain Sprouts when I developed all this. She really helped me understand cost basis and how to really develop a business plan that was sound and solvent. So
very cool.
But in the industry, there are certainly the Sallys. When I came into the industry, I didn't know. I've never really acknowledged the whole gender gap and the fact that there weren't many women or women leaders or women founders in the outdoor industry. I just didn't pay attention to that stuff. And looking back, certainly they were, through the Outdoor Industries Women's Coalition, Sally Jules, Sally McCoy, they were, I really looked up to them quite a bit. And so. Yeah,
they did a lot. It's that's amazing what those two women have accomplished and still are accomplishing.
And still are.
It's
incredible.
That's right. Yeah.
They make us proud.
Yep. Yeah. So it sounds like you still participate in a lot of outdoor activities. You do everything, right? I mean.
I try, yeah.
Yeah, good. We won't go down that list.
Yeah, I try. I may not do it all well, but I'm gonna freaking go for it.
There you go. Same.
I'll get down the hill somehow or other.
Get out there, right? Exactly. Might not be pretty, but I'll make it.
Might not be pretty. Yeah, I like to go big though. I love to huck. Like I rip on a mountain bike. I'm just gonna say it. I rip on a mountain bike.
Good.
And I rip on my telly boards, and I'm a knee banger, and I love moguls, and I love to soar and fly and huck and just
nice.
It's just, oh man, it's just set free, soul set free,
Yep. Those days are over for me. I banged up my knees when I was in high school, so it slowed me down. Unfortunately, slowed me down a lot, but it is what it is.
My days are kind of shifting a little bit. I think I mentioned I grew up on motorcycles, but and I've always had them through my life in one way, shape, or form. And as my kids have gotten older, they're now 18 and 22. What was it? 3 years ago, I took them out to dinner and I said, okay, I've given you guys an amazing set of tools in life, and you're rock solid. I'm rock solid, and I'm going to go get my motorcycle. Like,
Nice.
what are you really saying? It's like, we're good. I just want you guys to know, like, it's time. Your mama's going to go ride.
Right on. Good for you. How'd
And
they
so
take it? They were fine with it, I'm sure.
Oh, they're amazing. They're great. Yeah, they were just wonderful, and they were like, just be careful. I go bigger and harder than they do, and so I don't. I'm not gonna tell them. I just said that, but and they know that that's pretty unique as a mom. They know that they get it the older they get, and they really we're all best friends. I'm so fortunate. But
that's great. You're lucky.
But I found, and
it's a tribute to you, not lucky. You did it. You raised them right. That's why that turned out that way. You obviously know that.
Well, there's probably a little bit of that there, but they grew up in my old Land Cruiser, my FJ40. They were in the jump seat the whole time, and then I had 3 or 4 of them, and then and so after all these years, I'd always wanted an old. I born in '69, so I wanted a '69. I was actually looking for an old Honda Scrambler and a Triumph trophy. Presented itself to me, and
nice.
it found me.
Yeah.
And so there it was. And then, so I've got 2 bikes now. I've got a '69 Triumph Trophy 500, and then that's my real baby. And then I worked with Moto Guzzi on a photo shoot, and ended up buying. That's a really long story. I'm not going to spare you from that.
I think I saw that bike. Yeah.
We've had it in a few photo shoots.
Yeah,
the Triumph has been in photo.
Yep.
The Land Cruiser, everything's been in photo shoots, but. That bike and I have had some. We've bonded for
Very
sure.
Cool.
And so
that's
my go play bike and get.
Nice. We have to send me a couple of photos of that for the show notes.
Okay.
Each of those bikes, yeah, that'd be great.
I just took it on White Rim in the
White
White Rim Trail in Candylands,
cool.
and I'd always wanted to do it on a. I've done it on a mountain bike so many times, but on a scrambler, like not a dirt bike. That's too easy.
Yeah.
But on a scrambler, and it was. I was
pretty fun.
I was rode hard at the end of that, and it was just that beer never tasted so good. I will tell you what.
Right on. That's
it was a
cool.
great day. Yeah.
So, do you have any suggestions or advice for folks either wanting to get in the outdoor industry or if they're already in, grow their career?
There are. Yeah, I do. Coffee is. I'm like either coffee or cocaine.
That's a must.
Pick your poison.
That's right. Something.
But you're gonna have a lot of long nights. So
yeah.
I jest, but it's I don't listen to the critics because everybody's got a story and everybody's got a reason not to do something, and people just there's a lot of valuable insight and information to glean off of people. But the first person that tells you you're an idiot or you're high, whatever they tell you, look them in the face and go, you bet I am. And
I'm on the right path then.
Watch me run.
Yeah, exactly.
Because there's something about that fuel that can really, really, throw gas to the flame, and it works. And you've also got a couple paths. You've got choices when you start a business. And as you think about how you're going to finance that business and finance your growth, there's the startup phase, there's the teenager growth phase, high growth. And then there's the long range sustainability plan and how you set up your plan. And do you take on investors?
Yep.
Do you maintain majority ownership? Do you, how are you going to honor your mission? And how are you going to bring on people that you set it up so that fundamentally your mission is thereby honored. And so
I love that. Honor your mission. That's great.
Yeah, I always believe that you run a business like a nonprofit and run a nonprofit like a business. And I had to learn the hard way. I've got kind of a bleeding heart in a way, and I had to learn that I'd give everything away if I could, and that there's no mission to be accomplished or work to be done if your company's not running in the black and you're not solvent, because without that platform, there's no work to be done, right? No good to give and no legacy to leave behind. And so you got to focus on the fundamentals first. And that's keep your head in the game.
Yep. Oh, that's good advice. That's great. Yep. I love that. And how about daily routines? Do you have any daily routines? You meditate? Do you get out and sit with a cup of coffee and relax in the morning?
Well,
what's your all the above?
All of the above, yeah. Coffee equals everything. Coffee, yeah. for sure.
Yep.
You know what I did? I started last year. I usually try in the summer times, especially get out in the mornings. I realized about 6 or 7 years ago that if I am going to, especially as a parent and, 24/7 work kind of thing, but if I'm going to own my day, I have to get after it in the morning. I have to create and carve. I'm not going to be a victim to my day, because that's what was happening to me over time.
Yeah.
And I would just make up all sorts of excuses, and they were all legitimate.
Yeah.
They were reasons for me at the time. But I realized, no, they're excuses. And I do have an ability to carve time in the mornings or whenever, but really in the mornings for me.
Yeah.
And get my ass to the gym, or get my ass out on the trail, or get my ass wherever it needs to be to own my day. And it creates this little like untouchable bubble around me. So no matter what left curve I'm going to be thrown during that day, I got it. It's good.
Yeah.
I took care of myself first. Therefore I can take care of everything else.
I like it.
So.
Yeah.
But last year I did pick up power yoga, hot yoga, and never thought I was going to be that person. And it's
So coffee and hot yoga, that's your morning?
No, actually I usually do that in the evening.
Oh, okay. Got you.
Believe it or not. Yeah. No, the morning's more trail and
Gotcha. Yeah. No, I agree with that. You got to set yourself up to own the day, and you got to take care of yourself first. Otherwise, like you say, it'll all come at you, and next thing you know, it didn't go well.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
So do you have any favorite books, or do you guys give books as gifts? Do you give books as gifts very often?
What a great question.
Thanks.
I do have a favorite book. I have a couple, but my all-time favorite is a book. It's not, I don't know how popular it is or famous it is, but it's called The Hummingbird's Daughter. And I love old Mexico. And there's something that is just, I am compelled into those stories. And The Hummingbird's Daughter is a really magical story. And it's based on a true story, as a matter of fact, of Saint Teresita, the Hummingbird's daughter. And it's just a beautiful story.
We'll
Wallace
link to that in the
Stegner.
show notes.
Yeah, Hummingbird's Daughter. Thomas Urea. There's another name in there, but you'll find it.
Cool.
Wallace Stegner's Angle of Repose is just all-time classic for me. It's the meatiest book. It takes me forever, and I just devour it. I love that story.
Yeah, that's a great one. Exactly.
Yeah.
Cool. And how about a favorite outdoor gear purchase under $100?
Well, the first thing that comes to mind are my Chaco flips. I don't know what I'd do without them. I probably have 6 pairs, and they're my accessory. You never know what's coming up, what I'm going to wear that day, and it's all accessorized by my Chaco flips.
There you go.
It all starts probably there. My favorite purchase.
I like it. That's good. All right.
You go.
That's awesome. And as we wrap up, is there anything else you'd like to say to our listeners or ask of our listeners?
No, I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't say, check us out at mountainkhakis.com.
We'll link to all that in the show notes for sure, of course.
Yeah, we do. We love what we do, and hopefully you'll love what we do too. And we have a pretty good time. So follow us online as well, or on social media as well. It's at Mountain Khakis. Two of the hardest words to spell, by the way. So can I just spell them real quick?
Go ahead.
Okay, it's Mountain, Mountain, of course, and then Khakis is Khakis.
Yep, that's a tough one.
So there you have it.
And we'll link to all that in the show notes, and we'll make sure everybody gets all your social links and all that good stuff. Yeah, and if people want to follow up with you and ask any questions or reach out, how can they? LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram. What's the best place to find Jen?
Jen is Jen Riki Taylor. It's I'll spell that too. It's Jen, Jenrieke, good old German, Riki, Rieke, Taylor, Taylor. And I recently got life hacked, so I have actually dropped off a few of the channels there.
Gotcha.
But that's where I am, Jenrieke Taylor.
Cool.
So,
all right, we'll put that in there. We'll put a LinkedIn link or something there that way.
Awesome.
People can see that. Cool. Well, this has been fabulous, as I knew it would. Thanks for the time.
You're a doll. Thank you, Rick. This has been really nice. I appreciate the conversation.
Thanks. It's super fun. Yeah. And like I said, you guys, all the fun and all the energy just comes out in everything you guys do. I think it's, keep up the great work. It's awesome.
I appreciate that feedback. Thank you.
It's good. Keep it up. All right. Thanks. All right. See you.
All right, Rick. We'll talk to you soon.
Have a good one. Bye. How could you not enjoy that conversation with Jen Taylor from Mountain Khakis, right? You can follow up with Jen on LinkedIn at Jen Ricky Taylor. That's JenRieketaylor, and check them out on the interwebs, mountainkhakis.com, and on the socials at Mountain Khakis. You'll find links to everything we discussed in the show notes at theoutdoorbizpodcast.com/episode 131. Be sure to hit your favorite podcast app and subscribe today. Thanks for listening. Today's podcast is brought to you by WordPress. I've used WordPress to build a number of websites, including Stillwater's Consulting and the Outdoor Biz Podcast. There are a number of themes and plugins available both free and for purchase, enabling you to easily create the custom look and feel you want. If you're starting an online business, publishing a blog, and looking to take your online presence to the next level, visit theoutdoorbizpodcast.com/WordPress and get going today. With simple installation tools and thousands of themes to choose from, you'll be up and running in no time. Go to theoutdoorbizpodcast.com/WordPress and get your site launched today. If you want more of the Outdoor Biz Podcast, you can subscribe on iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, or your favorite podcast app. Be sure to go to theoutdoorbizpodcast.com where you'll find all the links to the episodes, show notes, and much, much more. And be sure to make time to get outside and take someone with you.